The 3 days of seminar starts now. So the first session would be by Wing Commander Madhusudan, the Vice President of TIDCO. I have great pleasure in welcoming him. So TIDCO is a Tamil Nadu organization. So you all will very much awaiting to listen to his speech and to know what the Tamil Nadu government is doing for us. So Wing Commander P. Madhusudan, who is retired, is currently Vice President of Aerospace and Defence at Tamil Nadu Industrial Development Corporation for implementation of the Tamil Nadu Defence Industrial Corridor. Prior to taking this assignment, he was the head of one of the business units in the Aerospace and Defence vertical at HCL Technologies. Prior to that, he served in the Indian Air Force in the technical stream. During the span of 23.5 years with the IAF, he had served across the country in multiple tech domains like air defense, radars and communications, information technology, networks and network-centric warfare, cybersecurity, data centers. He served as an instructor for the officers of the technical stream of the Indian Air Force. He was awarded a commendation by the Commander-in-Chief, Southwest Air Command, for extraordinary service during Op Vijay and Op Parakram. He is alumnus of Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, Military College of Telecommunication Engineering, IIT Bombay, and IIT Ahmedabad. We welcome you, sir. We are happy to have your speech, sir.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. I hope I'm audible. My request to the audience is that, yes, I'm a very boring person. So if someone feels sleepy, please do not snore loudly, because the person next to you would be sleeping and no one has the right to disturb the person who is sleeping right next to you. You have every liberty to sleep, but don't disturb the person who is sleeping next to you. That's really causing a lot of damage to the person who is sleeping. So with this, let me go to what we are doing in the Tamil Nadu Defence Industrial Corridor. We do not consider ourselves as a government entity, we do not consider ourselves as a regulatory body or anything like that, but we consider ourselves as a growth partner to the aerospace and defence organizations which exist in Tamil Nadu. Unfortunately, our syllabus is only Tamil Nadu. It doesn't extend beyond Tada or Walayar or Hosur. So we have to confine ourselves within this place. So that's what we try to do. We try to help the industries which want to grow. And why is this sector very important? If you look at the graphics, very simple. A nutshell is, we have a huge budget of something like $75 billion. So please convert it, multiply it to 80, convert it to crores. It's a lot of numbers, with some numbers followed by a large number of zeros, which is very difficult to count. And interestingly, we are dependent on imports for almost 70%. We have a very, very not so praiseworthy status of being the largest importer of arms and ammunition in the whole world in the last year, as per data released by SIPRI, Stockholm Institute of Peace Research. Stockholm, I'm not sure what that stands for, it's SIPRI, that's it. It's based on Stockholm. So it gives the statistics regarding this, and we happen to be the largest importer and 24th largest exporter. Not a very unique statistics, not a very proud statistics share. So it's, in fact, it's something, if I can call it so, please pardon me for this, it's a disgrace. So what has the government done? Government of India has done finally, because aerospace and defense is a central government domain. So there are a lot of initiatives, some of them being, they have tried to increase the FDI limits. Earlier it was 49%, now it's been increased to 74%. FDI is allowed in automatic routes for aerospace and defense, and with up to 100% with permissions. IDEX program, morning speakers were speaking about IDEX program. IDEX program is for promotion of startups, wherein DPSUs, armed forces, they offer challenges on which startups or individual innovators can work, by which the required solutions for problems which are in hand by these organizations can be worked out by crowdsourcing, if I may use the term, because it's not going to be DPSUs or a few companies which are going to be working on this, but it's going to be people like you and me who can work on it so that we can have the right technologies for the nation's aerospace and defense. It has also permitted strategic partnership with foreign OEMs. It's not possible for us to develop every possible technology. So why not tap into the expertise available, tie up with them and make them in India. Offset clause by which any contract which is given, a few percentage of it has to be made in India. A positive indigenization list, which is nothing but a huge list of items, numbering more than 500 items, which can no more be imported. It has to be made in India. And who's going to make in India? It's only the people who are here, present here, and people like this who are not present here, but outside the CTC who are here, they're going to manufacture. For example, let me quote, India is not going to import any more drones. The Indian military is not going to import any more drones. They have to be made in India. Helicopters cannot be made in India. But I don't think there will be many people who would be able to make those helicopters within this crowd which is here. But still, these are some of the indications to say that there are more than 500 items which cannot be bought from outside but has to be made here. That means there is opening up of opportunities, removal of competition. So, if not, the first product may not be good, but the subsequent versions will definitely be good. So that means we can achieve that make in India. And one more thing is announcement of 2 defense industrial corridors, one in Tamil Nadu and one in Uttar Pradesh. And I represent the first one, the one in Tamil Nadu. And what is this defense corridor about? Let me tell you frankly, this corridor is not like a highway or something like this, a straight line. It has 5 nodes: Chennai, Hosur, Salem, Coimbatore and Trichy. It is not a geographical restrictions. It is not something like Chennai, Hosur highway, which is about 30 meters wide. I may be sorry, I may be wrong with the numbers. It's not that. It is a quadrilateral which has nodes at these 5 places. Why these 5 places? Because these 5 places have the required ecosystem, industrial might, the required people who can make it. It's only thing which is needed is, are they willing to supply to the arms, aerospace and defense? That's it. And what do we aim? TIDCO is the nodal agency for implementing the corridor. And what do we aim? Our aim is very simple. You can see in the third, this one. We just aim to enhance the interaction between the industry players and create a long-term synergy so that this particular area develops into a powerhouse for aerospace and defense, both manufacturing and service in the long run. It cannot be done today. It needs long-term vision. So what we have thought of as a vision for us, how do we make it happen? In the short run, we have a wonderful automotive and electronics industrial setup. We are number 1 in automotive, number 1 in electronics. So why not? What is the difference between an automotive component which goes into a Hyundai car or something which goes into a HVF tank? The size and the quality requirements. That's it. What is the need? What is the difference between a component which goes into this and something which goes to the avionics of an aircraft? Nothing but quality. So all that is needed is, we have the ecosystem, we have the capabilities. We need to enhance the quality. Why don't our industries expand into aerospace and defense from automotive and electronics industry as well? We have given us a timeline of till to the next year. In the next 3 years, up to 27, how do we enable our industries to move from components to subsystems? And in the next 3 years, from subsystems to platforms. This may sound like a dream, but unless otherwise you have a dream, you cannot achieve it. So this is a dream. This is a dream of the government of Tamil Nadu, and this dream is something, it's not only for us, it's for every one of us. So give us that liberty to dream on your behalf. So why do we say that this has a right ecosystem? If you look at it, what is needed for aerospace and defense? One of the things is general engineering. We are the second largest producer of general engineering in the country, contributing to something like 19%. We are a huge contributor. Let me not go into the statistics. Heavy engineering exports are growing, and this state has a huge share in heavy engineering exports, manufacturing to support the country. Another domain, electronics. Till last year, we were the number 2 in exports. last year we have achieved this unique distinction of being the largest exporter of electronics. This one. If I can take an example of iPhone, which is one of the most aspirational electronic device for most people. Out of 4 contract manufacturers, 3 of them are here. Then we have seen medical electronics coming here. We have seen Cisco, which is going to set up here. So who's who of electronics are here? There was a study done by a European agency last year to identify which is the best place in the world for undertaking electronics R&D. And when they did it on 2 aspects, quality and cost. Quality, we were not the number 1. Cost, Chennai incidentally was the number 1 place in the whole world. And a combined metric of cost and quality, it was number 2. Second only to Seoul. So it is something which is a unique recognition that we are rightly poised for leveraging on this. ITIDS, yes, the OMR stands testimony. There are a lot of things. We have the largest bandwidth speed in the whole country, this particular city. This is just an example. As such, the penetration of tele-density is among the large states is the highest in the whole country. That means network is existing. When it comes to R&D, we may not have DRDO labs, not many here, barring the CVRD here, we may not have. Out of the 50 odd labs, we have only 1. But when it comes to private sector the R&D labs, the maximum is in Tamil Nadu. The numbers speak for itself. The IIT Madras Research Park has been a unique example which rest of the IITs are trying to emulate. It's happening. And the government of Tamil Nadu has also established the first advanced manufacturing hub of South Asia in collaboration with World Economic Forum here in Tamil Nadu. And we from TIDCO has also created a few centers of excellence to support R&D, which we will come to later. But looking at these trends, the first thing which any industry will ask is, where is the business? These are all general knowledge. General knowledge doesn't give me bread and butter. It doesn't give me my next breakfast. Where is the money? I'm just listing out some of the potential big ticket items which India is going to buy. So I'm just listing, I don't know whether it's visible to the last row, but I can just go through it. 1770 FRCV, FICV, futuristic infantry combat vehicles. It's nothing but tanks, light tanks. Guns, total of 25 billion is the budget of the Indian Armed Forces. So out of which potentially, even if we assume that since that heavy vehicle factory is there, in case we have a very achievable aim of $8 billion, then propellants, SSLV, small satellite launch vehicles is going to be, I'll come to that later. So this is something like 100 million opportunity. 50 million can be achieved here. Space sector, the total, this one is 70 billion. Maybe 15 billion could be achieved here. So these numbers are huge. So considering the strength which we have, if we could aim the state, when I say the state, I mean state along with the industrial might of this. If we can try to achieve a 10 to 40% depending on the item wise, we have annual and some more twin deck engine based deck based fighters, naval utility helicopters, light tanks, destroyers, Indian aircraft carrier 2, indigenous aircraft carrier. So there are plenty of them. So this would be a target of annually something like very easy to achieve something like $5 billion. So converted to rupees, that's a shopping list which is available. Whether we utilize it or not, it's left to us. But are there opportunities for MSME? Yes. First is, whatever I was talking about is the capital procurement. That means, let's say Indian aircraft carrier is going to be made. It may not be given to anyone out here. But if it's going to be made by Cochin shipyard, if it's going to be made by L&T shipyard, who's going to supply for them? It's only people who are here who's going to supply for them. That's when it comes to capex. But apart from that, existing equipment, we heard officers from the Army, Air Force and Navy speaking in the morning. So there is a need for maintaining, there is a need for spares. So this comes under the revenue budget. So whatever is there in the inventory of the armed forces, they need to be maintained at a war fighting capability. It's not a roadworthy or airworthy. It needs to be war-worthy. Otherwise, the armed forces do not exist. There is a difference between roadworthy and war-worthy. So in case you need a war-worthy equipment, it needs lot of maintenance support. That means spares are needed. That could come only from people from here. IDEX challenges I spoke about, wherein the armed forces is going to open up challenges. That's one thing. Similar to that, there is a technology development fund. This is similar to IDEX, but challenges offered by DRDO. So it comes from two buckets. One is from DPSUs and armed forces. One more bucket is from DRDO. So these are opportunities which one could do it, and these organizations would fund more than 50% of the prototype development cost. Let's say some prototype development cost is going to cost 2 crores. They would give up to 1 crore, and the technology is going to be yours. Not only that, either the armed forces or DRDO is going to handhold you. They're going to walk the journey till the time the technology is developed, and you get assured orders. So this is the beauty of it. For a startup, any startup which starts, what they do is they start with a problem solution. But whether is this problem solution valid one? Is this a realistic one which the world faces, or is it a problem statement perceived by the startup founder? It may be either ways. In case if it's not a real world problem, it's going to fail. There's high chances it fails. For every Ola which is successful, you have plenty more which just dropped off the radar. So, but here is a case where the problem statement is genuine. People are ready to fund the work on the problem statement. People are ready to walk along. This is something which people can look at. Then there is transfer of technology from DRDO. International collaboration due to negative positive indigenization list. Technology is available. The foreign partners, once they know that this market is closed, it has to be made in India. They look forward to local partners who can do it for them. Of course, with technology transfer, the financials would be between them. So this is an opportunity. There is one more portal called as Region Portal. This is nothing but Amazon for the armed services and DPSUs. So, but here it's not items being sold, but items, the requirements being projected. Here there are more than 20,000 items where it's listed out, stating that these are the items I require. All that is needed is just log into that. You could see the description, you could see the potential demand which could arise in the next few years. What was the procurement pattern in the past? Who is the nodal agency for this? And very interestingly, you don't need to run behind them. All that is needed is click on that, say that I am interested. Somebody would contact you. So it's even further easier than Amazon, wherein you need to make payments. Here that's also not needed. You just need to look at it. Is that item interesting to you? Click on it, say I am interested, someone will contact you. So you will not get calls anymore from people who are willing to give you loans, but you will have people who are ready to give you orders. So it's a quantum change. And finally, export opportunities. When you develop all these things, there are a lot of export opportunities as well. But life is not a bed of roses. There are thorns as well. There are a lot of barriers. Aerospace and defense domain is not an easy domain. It's very difficult. It requires perseverance, it requires staying power, it requires a lot of patience. That's a problem. We try to undertake a study of what are the entry barriers. First thing is it requires stringent quality and certification requirements. This is a big barrier. A normal ISO is not sufficient. In case you want to get into aerospace, without AS 9100, no one exists. But I can quote an example. There's I don't want to name, there's an automotive spare part supplier here, and they went in for AS 9100. What happened is, in AS 9100, one thing which is, it's nothing but something a level above the ISO. You need to have a traceability. Every item which is manufactured have to have a traceability. What went wrong, so that you could fix it. So this gentleman told me, because AS 9100 did not cost him much, but the process of going through did entail a lot of hours of effort. But he said that due to that, his quality levels while supplying to automotive customers went up so much that he's making more money than before in the automotive sector itself. So it is something aspirational. It's not costly, but it would shift a company up the value chain. Then, getting certification is not easy. Not many agencies are DGAQA, Semilac, they DGQA, it's very, very difficult, and there's a huge line. There, it is difficult, but there is no other go, because you need to go through that. Then, high investment. Anything which needs all these things, high investment, low volumes. Let's say, for example, let me talk about my own example. I was working for HCL Technologies earlier, supporting Boeing. The largest inquiry I got for was designing a warning system for Boeing 737, and that was for a quantity was 100 per year. That was huge volumes. And I didn't take up the job, that's a different thing. For whatsoever reason, 100 was a huge volume, unbelievable order volume. So that's the thing. And it's long break-even period. Will any MSME be able to sustain this? That's the thing. Then there is only one client. In case of India, it's for aerospace, forget about aerospace, for defense, it's only Government of India. So there is a huge bargaining power. So how do you tackle this thing? There are a lot of entry barriers. It's not a bed of roses. But what we from the Government of Tamil Nadu tried is, how do you make life easy? We can't do everything, but how do you enable industries? So we came up with some initiatives which is going to help the industries. So there is a long gestation period and irregular order cycles. You get an order, next order, subsequent order, maybe after 5 years. What do you do till then? So what we encourage is, we do not encourage companies to be a pure play aerospace and defense product. Be a dual use product supplier, and we have defined anyone who supplies even a part of the orders, part of the revenue coming from aerospace companies as aerospace and defense companies. Let's say, okay, it's a wrong slide, it says 25%. We have removed that one. Even if small amount, a single on your order books, if there is even a rupee of money coming in from aerospace and defense companies, we term you as an aerospace and defense company, and we support you with higher incentives and other stuff. So there is something called as make 1, make 2, make 3 projects. Make one is government funded projects which can be executed by MSMEs but no assured orders. Make 2 is government industry funded but assured supply orders. Make 3 is import substitution. There is already item which needs to be replaced with it. So what we make, if it's make 1 means 90% funds come from the Government of India. If it's make 2, nothing comes. But how does the industry do the development? So we have come up with policies wherein we would be able to support you with some amount of financial incentives so that you could undertake that prototype developing cost so that you would be able to supply that. But someone would get their orders later. So again, there is a problem of IDEX, because IDEX pays only 50%. But what about the rest of the 50%? We are willing to support some amount of financial support for the gap funding. Let me skip these things because, let me go look at the last one. There is a huge capital expense for operating aerospace and defense, because your quality is needed. You need to test. But in case some company puts up their captive test facilities, the utilization is going to be low. The capital expenses is going to be low. So what we are trying to do is, how do you try to create test facilities? How do you create common facilities so that industry could use it rather than capex? How can we help the industry to convert it to opex so that you focus on your primary job of designing, manufacturing, leave the testing and other things to be done by somebody else. Yes, I'll skip some of them because since there will be a paucity of time. So, but still let me go through it. There is a limited ecosystem for MSME clusters operating in aerospace and defense domain. So we are trying to create clusters of industrial parks which would host aerospace and defense companies. I'll come to that slightly later. Then new technology access is difficult. We have already partnered with IIT and DRDO as knowledge partners. So in case you want to reach out to them, we would support you. Then there is always a forum, lack of forums. In fact, I should congratulate Swatantra Foundation for having such a wonderful forum where interactions could take place. So what we have done is, we have been taking industries to various expos. We are trying to create a defense, in the Tamil Nadu Defense Industrial Corridor website, a dynamic portal where we could enable exchanges. It's currently down because of some more version 2.0 coming up. So, but otherwise it would have an exchange, a portal where ideas and knowledge could be exchanged. There is a requirement of capital, huge capital. There is an enhanced capital subsidy which is worked out for aerospace and defense companies, and certification requirement of stringent. So we are going to provide enhanced certification incentives. Okay. And for existing companies, how do we catalyze the aerospace and defense sector growth in? So we have thought of 7 ways for catalyzing the sector. First is, this place does not have the presence of global majors. Most of them are either in Telangana or in Karnataka. So they would definitely, everyone wants to have the supply chain close to them. So it's easy for them. So we from the state government are trying to reach out to large companies so that they can have the presence here, which would enable their supply chain to grow here. But again, this is going to be a long drawn process, which we are in the process, and I can proudly say that as of now, we have Rolls-Royce which is setting up an engine component manufacturing plant at Hosur. There are some more in the pipeline which should happen. So with this, we will have a large number of foreign companies coming up in Tamil Nadu, which would give rise to supplies from here. Then ease of doing business. There are a lot of problems for industries. How do you make life comfortable for them? How do you ensure that the quality of life of an entrepreneur is improved? That is one of it. Skilling is very important, because without skills, one of the required need is you need skilled resources, and this is one focus sector for us. Then how do you reduce the cost of manufacturing? Because if you want to be competitive, be it with different states or globally, your cost of production has to come down. How do you do that? Then how do you have aerospace and defense manufacturing hubs which will enable competition as well as collaboration? You cannot, if you go to the IT sector here, OMR, there are a large number of companies adjacent to each other. What has it created? It has created a wonderful competition. It has also created a wonderful complementing each other. Yes, there is a risk of one person, a manager scolds someone, that IT person can walk out during lunchtime, go to another company, pick up a job during lunchtime. That risk is there. But there is an ecosystem which is created. So why don't we create that? Then how do we help companies to move up the value chain? Rather than producing build to print, how can we help the companies move from build to spec? Then how do we incentivize R&D? So these are the 6 questions which we pose for ourselves and trying to work on answers so that we can help the industries which really want to flourish in this domain. And the answers, some of the answers which we are finding out, which we have found out, are coming in the next few slides. We have already set up a few centers of excellence in collaboration with Dassault Systems, Siemens and GE Aviation. What do these centers do? In case someone wants to move up the value chain, build to print to build to spec, you need access to design tools. You need access to people who have the knowledge to use the design tools. So you need skilling, you need access to design tools. So what we have done is, we have tied up with these organizations, the entire tool set which is available, the expertise which is available through these centers at Tidal Park here in Chennai. So all that is needed, no one needs to invest in, let's say, CATIA. You can walk in there, in case you have your expertise, use the tools there, walk out with your design. In case you don't have your expertise, give the problem there, they will work it out, pay some money, walk out. Or you want to do it on your own, use this center for training. So it solves the problem of skilling, the value chain enhancement, by moving up the value chain, reducing the cost of designing, all this stuff is there. And with GE Aviation, we have put up a industrial grade 3D printer, metal 3D printer, which is used by GE for manufacturing components for their aero engines. Not on the cold side, but on the not on the hot side, but cold side. So what happens is though this is being put up for aerospace and defense, but this is industry agnostic. I can share a secret here. The biggest beneficiary when it comes to this GE Aviation Center till date has been the healthcare center, not the aerospace. Healthcare sector has used this very well and beautifully. So it is domain agnostic, but we put it up for aerospace and defense. Here we have catered for the design part, and we are also trying to create spokes of this across the state. Already one spoke is functional at Salem. One is getting created at Coimbatore. So short while we'll have spokes across the state. Then we are trying to create common facilities center. So for aerospace and defense, one of the most important things is surface coating, protective coating for components which are manufactured. We had no facilities here. So we thought of putting up something, but then we realized that there's, I'm mixing up, sorry, that's the second one I'm talking about. So we saw that a company in Coimbatore had excess capacity, utilization was low. So we tied up with them and we got it opened up for rest of the industries. Of course, nothing is free, it comes at a cost, but it's OPEX, it's not CAPEX. You don't need to put the entire establishment. This company's utilization is enhanced, that means your cost goes down. So that facility is available. As on date, earlier it used to be sent to Bangalore, then again it used to come back, get assembled. Nowadays, if my memory serves me right, almost 9 companies in Coimbatore region have started using this facility. Then one more thing is we are putting up is a common engineering facilities center, which is at a cost of something like 400 crores, which has design to manufacturing to testing. It is a complete factory which doesn't have any product. So anyone can use it the way they want. Someone can use it only for designing, someone can use it only for main part manufacturing, someone can use it for testing, or someone has an idea. They can walk in there without owning a factory, they can manufacture anything there. So this is what our concept is, and the work is going to start within a month or so. We have identified the land, we have identified partners, Tata Technologies is a partner, the funding has been secured, it's going to start shortly. Then a common foundry, we are establishing in collaboration with Foundry Development Federation, and we already set up a common facility at Trichy for metal fabrication jointly with about 80 companies in Coimbatore, in Trichy. So it's called a street. TIDCO holds a maximum equity 43%, but there are 80 more partners. Test centers. Recently it came in news, it was given a wide publicity that the nation's first UAV test facility outside DRDO is coming up at Sriperumbudur. It is being set up with funding from MOD jointly by 5 companies, TIDCO, Keltron, Sense Image Technologies from Chennai, Avishka Technologies from Tirupur, and one more company from Chandigarh. So we are trying to set up, and the work is expected to start shortly. Everything is done, funding is this one, the land identified, we know what is supposed to be done, it will be up and running by next year. But look at this. This is not only for drones. For example, when I say I could have an environmental test facility, a shaker, a vibration, this one. It is not going to be just used by the UAVs, but it could be used by any industries. We are going to have wind tunnels. Wind tunnels need not be used only by drones. It can be used by automotive components as well. Anyone can use it. Then there are 2 more which is at a very advanced stage. So electronic warfare and electro-optics. This is also going to be coming up shortly, and we have already floated the tenders, and it will be finalized before the end of this month. And in this we are partnering with public sector units as well. Then for electromagnetic interference, electromagnetic compatibility and communication, we are trying to put up at a cost of 120 crores, for which we have sought funds from MIT. It's a very advanced stage. We are also trying to this is at an early stage of, it's a very advanced stage of planning. So this, and we are also going to set up a mechanical and material test center at Trichy for which it should be, we should finalize it by October. So these test centers would be up and running by, I can say, the next year end. So this would support the industries when it comes to testing facilities. Yeah, Industrial Policy 2021 is a very interesting one. I would request people to go through it. But here, the most important thing is there are few sectors which are being recognized as sunrise sector by the government of Tamil Nadu, and one of them is aerospace and defense. And when I mean aerospace and defense, I mean three segments: aviation, space and defense. So aviation would mean commercial as well as military, space could be commercial as well as military, and defense is pure this one. And there is a separate aerospace and defense industrial policy 2022. Incidentally, Tamil Nadu was the second state in the country to come out with a dedicated aerospace and defense industrial policy. It was out in 2022. So this is a step ahead of the industrial policy. So I can say what happens here is, when any company is going to put up their facilities here, there are options. That is, we can, depending on the size, depending on the place, we would give us an incentive of 5 to 12% of the fixed assets would be paid back to you. It varies, different place and size, and based on employment. Otherwise, there is an option for companies. Some company may be capital, less in capital, but quite a large turnover. So for those companies, we offer another package stating that they could take 2% of their annual turnover on aerospace and defense as incentive from the state government. And one of the aspects which is not available in any other part of the country is, we as TIDCO are willing to take up equity in any company not exceeding 49%. We have invested in something more than 120 companies till date, and we don't hold majority stake in any, barring one company. So we like to play a minority shareholder role. And what does it entail? It gives a feel to the industry that we are in the game along with you. We are willing to walk the talk. We are willing to walk the thorny path along with you. But we don't want to run the industry. You do your best. We are here to support you. We are ready to put our skin in the game. Apart from that, there are a lot of incentives which I would not cover. I would leave it for you to look up in the Aerospace and Defense Industrial Policy 2022. Google will show you this easily. We are also creating a lot of parks in the state, specifically for aerospace and defense. But we have a sister agency, SIPCOT, which is creating parks. Apart from that, we are trying to create. So we are right now in Coimbatore region. We are going ahead with 2 of them. One is at a place called as Varapatti, and one more is a place called as Sulur, right next to the Air Force station. And the second was a very interesting one, which may not be of direct benefit. This would be the second industrial park in the country which will be a fly-in facility. The first one is the GMR park at Hyderabad. This would be the second one. That means we have already got in principle approval from the Air Force, wherein we can use the Air Force station runway in case there is needed. Aircraft, whatever platforms, could fly into this particular park. It would be the first such type in the whole country, wherein partnership is between TIDCO, private sector, Air Force, for having a flyable park. For Karani, we are coming up in its northern part of Chennai. We are coming up with a specific park for strategic electronics and drones. Land is being procured for this. Vallamadagal Aerospace Park is almost completely full. There is one more Aero Hub which will be available by the end of the year, which will host the engineering and design centers of A&D. So we hope that all engineering and design companies would go there. What Tidal Park did to Old Mahaprabhu Road, we expect that this particular would do to Chennai for the aerospace and defense sector. Manapara near Trichy for arms and ammunition, and we are planning a space industrial park near Thuthukudi. We are still working on it. It's a very interesting segment where I'd like to spend a few more minutes on that. I'm not sure how much time I have. The organizer is not here. That means the floor is mine. Okay. Space sector is a very interesting sector. As of now, we have rocket launchers taking from Sriharikota, and we, particularly those from Chennai, have seen it right here in the sky. And the next spaceport is coming up at Kulasekarapatnam, 40 to 50 kilometers south of Tuticorin, only for small satellites, for LEO orbit, less than 100 tons rockets. So the land has been acquired. It is ISRO is going to start the work anytime now. In fact, some of the civil work is already started. So this is going to be, the rockets which are going to be launched from here are going to be those of the private sector. We have companies like Agnikul, Dhruva, Skyroot, which are going to get into this, primarily to support the low Earth orbit satellites. We already have Elon Musk launching a lot of satellites. We already have OneWeb, owned by none other than Airtel, launching a lot of satellites. So, in future maybe we would not get connected from the terrestrial towers but from the satellites, from low Earth orbits. So this market is booming. So that means, and everything is going to, there is a high potential, it happens from Kulasekarapatnam. Unlike Sriharikota, where the launches take place maybe 5 in a year or something like that, this would have a potential of more than 50 launches in a year. That means more number of rockets. Everything needs to be done close by. Since it's going to be done by private sector, it would not be possible for the entire supply chain to be distributed. So we need a supply chain right next to each other. Some of the numbers I've projected here: satellite manufacturing, launch services, ground segment. This is huge money. So what TIDCO plans is, one is ISRO is doing its bit. What TIDCO plans is, we plan to develop 2 parks in the vicinity. One for propellants. Propellants cannot be shifted for long distance. Whatever is needed to go into the rockets, it needs to be made right next to them. One park for propellants, one park for everything other than propellants. Electronics, rocket components, rocket casings, components for the satellites, whatever is needed. So we have already initiated a techno-economic feasibility study which is currently underway. We have already identified some parcels of land. So we hope that we would be able to have a huge pie of the burgeoning space market. And one big advantage is that this market cannot be shifted from here. For efficiencies to exist, it needs to be close to Tuticorin. So who's going to go close to Tuticorin? It's only people here. So maybe we have a dream that French Guiana or South Florida, these are the booming economies when it comes to space. Why not transform the economy of South Tamil Nadu around Tuticorin to space Florida? Yes, Florida would have wonderful beaches and alligators. Here we do not have beaches, but alligators would not be there. That's for sure. So not only that, how do we connect industries with the procurement agencies? So in the year 2021-22, we conducted more than 29 workshops where we reached out to these companies which are listed here so that they come here and maybe virtually or in person, they would express their requirement which would enable industries to consider this option. So this was in the last 2021-22. In 23, we have already done quite a few. Of course, we are supporting the Swatantra, this event as well. So in fact, last week also we had one for enhancing the supply chain of AVNL where more than 100 companies from Tamil Nadu participated. So we tried to see, I can share a very interesting story. In one of the ones with the Air Force, that was in 2022, they wanted some components and for arrestor barriers. There was one gentleman from Trichy who said that I manufacture some components and deliver it to this company in Italy. Will it be of any use? And the Italian company was the company which was supplying to the Indian Air Force. And actually the parts were going from here. Neither did this supplier know, nor did the Air Force know. So it was a wonderful discovery and he has become a supplier to the Air Force. So instead of the items going from here all the way to Milan and coming back here, it just Trichy to Chennai. It was such a wonderful thing. So this is a very interesting example, but it happened. Okay, other steps. What are the steps which are taken for enabling the industry? So we are trying to enable a clustering approach for procurement with DPSUs. DPSUs buy components. So in case, let's say example of tank. tank may have about 10,000 components. If HVF is going to give a tender for each component, even if one supplier defaults, that's it, tanks are not going to roll out. So we are trying to talk to the DPSUs to say that don't buy components, buy subsystems. But for subsystem, buy it from cluster of industries. Someone would take the lead from the cluster, and the DPSUs have shown they have agreed, and HVF was the first one to go in for a clustering approach for procurement. The success of this is yet to be seen. We don't know, but we hope that this model would enable industries to cluster, join together and bid for such things. Then when it comes to events like Aero India Def Expo, we go along with T&D industry. We set up Tamil Nadu Pavilion there, where we showcase the joint might. For the individual industry, they can showcase that, yes, look at this, the government is behind me. We can show that this is the strength we have for the overall industry. We don't go as individual organization, but we go as a Tamil Nadu state. We have compiled a Tamil Nadu Aerospace and Defence Industrial Directory, which has been circulated. We disseminate opportunities in the aerospace and defence to the Tamil Nadu industries regularly. Export leads are being forwarded. There is already a Tamil Nadu Aerospace and Defence Advisory Committee which has been constituted. So I will not go into this, but which contains the who's who of the country. There is one more very interesting segment, flying training organization. This is completely aviation. Many people would have flown today for coming here. When you flew about Air India, Indigo, very funny thing is, everything about that is important. The planes are important. The seats are important. The avionics are important. The fuel is important. Pilots important. When you say pilots important, there is a huge demand for pilots here. But most of the pilots have not been trained here. They either have been trained in, let's say, Eastern European countries or Australia or New Zealand. Pilots important. The air cabin crew training is not important. That's indigenized. Atmanirbhar Bharat has been achieved there. The food has been indigenous. Apart from that, right from the seat belt, everything is important. Maintenance part. There are two agencies in the country which do the maintenance. One is in Hyderabad, one is in Hosur. Planes fly to Colombo, Singapore, Jordan for maintenance. So that means when it comes to aviation, there is nothing called as Atmanirbharta. Only, and third thing which is Indian in nature is the money which we spend. The tickets are sold in rupees. So this is one thing. So we thought, why not look at FTO? There is a need of more than 1,500 pilots per year. The supply from India is 600. And there is also attrition which is going towards it. This demand is huge. And by 2030, we are going to be the third largest aviation country. As on date, by the end of last month, we had 700 planes flying the country. By the end of 2030, we expect something like, as per Boeing and Airbus, it's going to be 1,300. So where are the pilots coming from? Let's look at other things later. While we are looking at other things, but where are pilots coming from? And whatever training takes place here, it's done in the Gangetic plains. Come next month, the Gangetic plains are not suitable for flying because of visibility. The winter comes in, fog, no flying. Come May, the temperature shoots up, the aircraft cannot be touched, no flying. But this is a place which is conducive, but no flying schools are here. So we thought we should aspire to become the FTO capital of India. So what we have done is, we found that it has the best visibility and best climatic condition for FTO. Nothing is operational in Tamil Nadu. Zero. Okay, one is set up in Salem just now, but they have not yet opened their actual operations. So the second one is false statement. Salem Equi Air from Pune has set it up just recently. So what we did was, we tried to identify what are the airfields available within our disposal. The first one is, we identified an unused airstrip at Kovilpatti. So we have floated a RFP so that we would hand over the entire airstrip, so that people could, some company which is interested could run a FTO there, the entire airstrip will be theirs. And the bids were opened day before yesterday. The response was very good. Maybe officially it will be announced a few more this one, but by the end of next year we will have the first FTO bids outside Airport Authority of India operational at Kovilpatti. Not in Chennai, not in a big city, in a Kovilpatti. We have also identified two more FTOs, two more places where similar things will happen. But very interesting thing, FTO is not a costly thing. Why am I telling this here? probably the infrastructure would cost about 5 crores. I may be off the numbers by a margin. 3 planes, maybe about 15 crores, so it will be an MSME. Flying training is an MSME industry. So this is also being reason. We want to address this segment as well. We are not looking at only manufacturing. This is a service sector. But still we thought, let's do that as well. So this is a photograph of the location and the unused runway. Okay, that's a video. Let me skip this. And the most interesting slide. Thank you. I don't know whether I don't know how many people I could put to sleep, but I hope that some people could enjoy their sleep.
Any questions from the audience, please?
Okay, I know that. Okay, let me answer this question. There is an unused airfield in Sholavaram that's owned by IAF. That cannot be taken over. But let me add something more to this. It's also going to be used. That's airfield, and there is lot of traffic here because of Chennai International Airport, Arakonam Naval, Tambaram Air Force Station. So flying training here is just out of the question. There is no space in the sky. It's jam-packed. But what we are trying to do, I was talking about drone test facility. Drone testing, what we are establishing is for all category of drones. From the small ones which you see in marriage to the large ones. The large ones need runway. So we have requested the Air Force for usage permission for Sholavaram Air Force. Otherwise we need to create the entire infrastructure. So similar thing happens is there in DRDO at Chitradurga in Karnataka, which has a 2 kilometer long runway. So we didn't want to invest that much money. So we requested Air Force for that. Air Force has agreed in principle for letting us use that for the drone testing. So when the drone test facility is coming up at Sriperumbudur, the smaller drones would be tested there, the flight testing. The larger drones would go to Cholavaram where it will be tested. So that is also going to be used in a limited manner, but it cannot be used for other purposes. Okay, I'll repeat the question this gentleman answered. A question which is very close to my heart, which I am trying to find answers. His question was, I said that most of the aircraft are flying abroad. What do we lack? Do we lack money? Do we lack technology? What do we lack? We lack multiple things. We lack multiple things that we are trying to address. First thing was taxation. Taxation was very high. The components are not made in India. Most of the components are coming from abroad. After it comes here, then there was a typical taxation of 18% on that. So the skills which are needed are high-end skills. The components are not made here. That means once you import it, there is again the duty which you pay and other things, the cost increases. Then comes the taxation, GST 18%. So it was cheaper for industries to fly out, do the maintenance and come back here. But that's been addressed. Just at the time of COVID, the government of India slashed it to 5%. So that taxation was addressed. But the problem was aviation took a deep plunge immediately after COVID. So the impact of it would come only now. Second thing is that the attrition, manpower. The people from Airworks and Hosur or GMR Aerotechnic at Hyderabad, they board the next Emirates and go to Dubai. Dubai is one thing, but it happens everywhere. And all these contracts, which it's a contractual issue as well. Airlines do not decide plane wise, okay, this plane I'll set it here. They have a contract with a long-term contract, 3 years contract. So all these contracts were established long time ago and they are part of the contract. So that's happening. So it will take time for it to happen. And one more thing is, the companies, the international companies are not ready to part with it. They don't want it to. So there are multiple issues and we are trying to address one by one. One more most very important thing is, where are the MRO facilities next to airport? It needs a park next to an airport. Except Hyderabad, there is nothing. Hosur has one, but Hosur air runway is 2.2 kilometers, 1.8 or 2 kilometers. That means a normal 737 or Airbus 320 empty airplane can land there. It cannot land with people. So the planes land in Bangalore, it's ferry to Hosur, maintenance is done there. So lot of issues. It is not, I cannot name one issue. There are a lot of issues which the government of India is trying to address, the industry is trying to address, both the supply side and the demand side, and we from the state government is also trying to address it. For example, nowadays the talk is about military, civil, commercial synergy for MRO. That's happening, and I gave an example of Sulu. First time in the history of India that an Air Force station runway is going to be used for an aerospace industrial park which is being set up by state government and private sector. We are going to identify private sector partner, and the industry is going to be private sector. So imagine a transport airplane, or if an MRO comes up there, an aircraft may land there in an Air Force runway which has nothing to do with Air Force, but going to go to this facility, have a MRO facility, could be. We are aspiring for that. So things are changing, but I don't know how long it will take for us to really reach up there. But we have a vision. We want to do that. Any other questions? Please, next question should have that option of phone a friend, 50-50, some options like that, so that it will make my life comfortable.